This is Geek Gab for Monday, August 25th, 2025. And today we are going to be talking about Nobody 2, the sequel to the altogether amazing movie called, and hold on to your seats, called Nobody. And Blast from the Past, we're going to be talking about Andy Sedaris films from the 80s and early 90s. Your inimitable host, was recently introduced to Andy Sedaris' oeuvre, and after having been verbally assaulted with people promising that I absolutely must, I tell you, absolutely must familiarize myself with his cinematic genius. I went ahead and watched 3 of his movies. Technically, I went ahead and watched 3 of the top 4 movies, according to a list I found by searching on the internet. I cannot vouch for its authenticity, but I found this list, and on this list, 3 of the top 4 I watched, and based on watching those, I will give my impression of Andy Sedaris as a filmmaker, indeed, as an auteur. And we also have a quick update on the latest in Alien Earth, which I keep wanting to call Alien Earth War, which is absolutely wrong because that was a comic book series by Dark Horse in also in the late 80s. But that has absolutely nothing to do with this TV series. So, Dorno, do you have any news for us?
News. All is quiet on the news front. It's an absolute insane world out there in the no fun world. But here in the fun world, it's a little slow. Plugging away at Dungeons and Dragons. We play every day. The clubhouse is alive and real. Let's see. I have been catching up, or I caught up on the Alien Earth episodes. You mentioned that. We're going to talk about that today. That's all I've got going on this week, GW.
I've got some funky news on the game front. Gamescom was this last weekend, and they announced a bunch of games and threw out a bunch of trailers. I might have watched one of them or 2. I just wasn't interested. That's how bad it is. I watched, like, just a couple of years ago, I watched all of the Sony, all of the Xbox, and all of the Nintendo pressers just to report on them for the show. And like Gamescom came and went, and I couldn't even be bothered to watch just the trailers, not even the whole presser. I've just been, AAA gaming has so thrown me out of it, just tossed me away. But apparently, Jeff Keighley had a panel discussion at it in which a person was waxing rhapsodic about an independent game funded by Microsoft, potentially involving Sweet Baby Inc. And this person was a staffer or panelist for the World Economic Foundation, the WEF, and also used to work for Visa for 3 years. And the game is called Up North or Up to the North.
Help Us
And
North.
what? Say that again?
Help Us North.
Help Us North? Yeah. It is an illegal immigration simulator. It's all about a bunch of quote unquote diverse people trying to sneak across the border into the United States of America.
Take us north.
Take us north.
Oh my goodness, you can't make this up. This is not a fake. This is not fake news. This is not AI generated.
And Asmongold reported on it and commented on it, and Jeff Keighley took that whole panel private, so that I guess he didn't want people watching it anymore. So yeah, that's the. I don't want to talk about like the politics behind it or anything. I just thought, let's just hit the news before I got on the show. I was just like stunned. Like the whole thing stunned me.
Here's the blurb for the event. This week we're shining a spotlight on Anima Creates and their upcoming game, Take Us North. Find out how the Xbox Developer Acceleration Program empowered this indie studio to create a narrative adventure survival game that follows the poignant journeys of a diverse cast of characters.
As they break into the United States.
Beyond parody.
By the way, you notice how at ID_Xbox is in blue, right?
Yep.
That's because it's a link to the Twitter page. But if you look up where it says at Anima_Creates, that is a Twitter account that is no longer active. The indie developer, after this broke earlier today, nuked their Twitter account.
Yeah, they probably got a notice from legal. And the ID in ID Xbox stands for independent developers.
I haven't had time to process this yet. I just thought it was hilarious that somebody made an illegal immigrant video game. I found that hilarious. Or I'm sorry, I apologize for my retrograde terminology. What's the current on vogue term? Less documented citizens.
Less undocumented, less document. I don't know.
I'm serious. It's undocumented citizen or less documented citizen. They're actually using the word citizen now.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So, pre-documented citizen. So, yeah.
This is one of those things where creators It takes a long time to create a game, even an indie game, even a piece of junk narrative adventure survival game with poor artwork. It takes a little while to make. So there's this lag, this cultural lag. This is why you get I Hate the Last President TV shows a year or two into the next president's administration. Uh, this
Yes.
is this isn't necessarily them failing to read the room in the broader culture. It is, but there is a certain subset of the culture for whom illegal, less documented people have poignant stories. This is simply cultural lag coming in. Like maybe a year or two ago, someone thought this was a good idea. I could be wrong. This could have been just put together with AI in 6 months. We'll never know because the developer went private.
I'm just wondering now if the legal posture will make it so that the game won't even come out. I'm wondering, or the publicity. No idea. All right, let's put that aside. I just thought that was the most bizarre thing I've heard in a long time.
Well, I want to bring something up that you mentioned, which is that Asmongold did, reviewed the talk and put it on blast and everything like that. I don't know if anybody listening to the Geek Gab does not know who Asmongold is. He is the most popular World of Warcraft streamer of all time. He's gone beyond that to one of the most popular video game streamers of all time. And for the past couple of years, he has been weighing in heavily on the side of the gamers in the I don't know how active he was way back in the halcyon days of Gamergate, but I just wanted to underscore that you mentioned that Asmongold reviewed the event. He's got such a huge following that when he puts something on blast, people pay attention. So on that note, I want everybody to email Asmongold and tell them about the Geek Gab so he checks out a couple of episodes and tells us how awesome we are.
There was something else in video game news or movie news or something I was going to say, but I've completely forgotten it. All right. Well, I'll let you talk about Alien Earth, and if I remember it, I'll talk about it after Alien Earth, because it was good. It was juicy. There was something I was wanting to say, but it's gone now.
Juicy like a cheeseburger.
Juicy like a ripe peach.
I love that. Everyone likes a good ripe peach. So I wanted to go back to Alien Earth because last week we talked about it and we did complain about the poor casting and the poor characters and everything like that. And this past Tuesday, episode 3 came out, and I want to bring it up because, and I'm going to lay some spoilers for the episode. If that's something that you're waiting to binge on, feel free to pause the stream and come back to us later. In the episode, I think the show really hit its stride with some of the main characters. Have you seen it yet, D-Dubs?
No, I have not seen this episode yet.
Okay, so I will spoil very little then. the characters that get a lot more screen time and really carry the rest of the show are, you're not surprised to hear this, are the ones who were carrying the show before. The android caretaker, played by Timothy Oliphant, or sorry, synthetic, that's what we'll call them in the show's parlance. He gets a lot more screen time as he leads the children on their search and rescue mission inside the ship. And we get a lot more screen time setting up the primary antagonist, the cyborg who was aboard the ship with the aliens on it, and he protected the aliens to the extent of sacrificing the crew. That's what happened in the first episode. He got orders from headquarters. He got orders from Mother, just like in the movie Alien, and the orders said the payload is higher priority than the crew. And he did horrible things. So they let him interact with some of the kids away from the other adults, and they give him a lot more dialogue to sort of express who he is as a character and what his goals are and how he's going to be an antagonist for the remainder of the season. We get a little bit more from each of the other children. I don't like these scenes. I don't know if it's the writing or the actors. But DW, I'm going to spoil one line because the cyborg actor blew me away. And feel free to cover your ears for about 10 seconds. He's talking to the children, and he notices that they are synthetic. And he says, "Are you a robot? Wouldn't that be nice? To be all machine instead of what I am, the worst parts of a man." Needless to say, I was not expecting that line of dialogue in this show at all. It was like a different writer came in and said, you know what, we really need to have this character express what's going on inside of him right now. And they nailed it. Really touching scene. Of course, it's wasted on the poor people who have to act like children in adult android bodies. It is what it is. Now that I've thought about it out loud, I think it's the writing. But that I thought was really interesting. So I'm excited to see more of that character. I'm excited to see where the rest of the show goes. And I'm willing to put up with the stinky parts for it because it's been very entertaining. And if something interesting comes up next episode, I'll tell you next week.
All right. I hope to be able to I guess I should keep up with the show.
Well, why don't you, if you catch the episode this week, send me a message and tell me what you think of that line. Tell me if I'm off or not.
I mean, it sounds interesting. I should see the episode, and then I should see the other episode that's coming out tomorrow. So, okay. Let's talk about Andy Sedaris. I saw 3 Andy Sedaris movies. I saw Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I saw Malibu Express, and I saw Do or Die. And Um, the these are supposedly, like I said in the introduction, these are supposedly three of his absolute best movies. And I want to start off by saying that Andy Sedaris doesn't make great action movies. He doesn't make Die Hards, and he doesn't make Speed. But somewhere in the middle of the third movie, which is Do or Die, I found myself kind of loving the guy, kind of loving the movies that he makes. Because he writes these movies and he directs these movies. And they all have decent plots. The plots all follow in line. One event logically follows after another. They're not just this happens and then this happens and then this happens. It's like this happens, therefore this happens, therefore this happens, but this happens. And some of the movies are like really high concept movies that are kind of cool. One of the movies involves two DEA agents who, in earlier movies, in earlier films, have been constantly foiling bad guy plots while living in Hawaii. And finally, the head of the cartel. So there's like this little cinematic universe going on. There's like 6 or 7 movies or 5 or 6 movies that are all sequels that all star the same actresses. And they have this Malibu. I can't remember the name of it. Malibu, or no, not Malibu. Anyways, they have this this airplane delivery service, and they're constantly running into these drug smuggling plots or other things and foiling them. And finally, the head of the crime organization, who's played by Pat Morita, says, you know, we're going to kill you. We're done with this. I have hired the 6 best assassin teams in the world, and we're going to have death games. And if you can survive these 6 assassin teams who come after you, I'll let you go free. But I know you're not going to survive the first one. So that's a pretty high concept. 2 DEA agents who've been fighting with a drug cartel for 4 or 5 movies have to survive 6 different assassin teams in one movie. And then the rest of the movie is them trying to flee from these assassins and the assassins catching up and them having to fight the assassins in all kinds of different terrains. on different, sometimes on different vehicles, sometimes it's with bunches of different weapons and different things going on. And it's actually a really interesting movie that way. There is potential in all of these plots. And the movies are 100% intended to entertain the audience, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about lecturing you. He doesn't want to raise your consciousness. He doesn't want to push politics on you. He just wants to entertain you. And sometimes that entertaining you is having a race car zooming along the highway while bad guys are chasing after it and shooting it. And there's a helicopter following the race car, and people looking out of the window of the helicopter at this chase. And sometimes the entertainment is having a drone helicopter. Only it's an RC. It's not what we would consider a drone. It's a radio controlled helicopter from the 80s and early 90s, flying around and shoot a rocket into this sort of hunting blind where these two assassins are hiding to try and catch sight of the DE agents they're chasing after, and then blowing it up and killing them. It's gunfights, it's fast chases, it's motorcycles zooming through the woods, it's fist fights, knife fights, people trying to poison other people at dinner, people going all around Hawaii or going to Vegas or going to the desert. It's just fun stuff.
That's awesome. He said, "What is awesome? I want to put awesome stuff on the screen." And if you're hanging on YouTube, I'm just playing the trailer for Do or Die on IMDb. Like, it's just ninjas in the woods, shacks are getting blown up, babes in bikinis, Eric Estrada, I guess. Come on.
Yeah.
He's just like, and Pat Morita, of course, is the mob boss. Just have fun. This is what I think. This is what I think a lot of people get into films to do, and he just did it. Like, he's not trying to craft art films or whatever.
And there is not constant, but there is a noticeable amount of nudity in his films too, because it was the 80s. And I'm not trying to defend it, I'm not trying to diminish it, but there just is a noticeable amount of nudity in his movies, because that was part of more than you would get in other action movies.
Like those trashy fantasy movies, like what is it, Deathstalker?
Yeah. Deathstalker, Hawk the Hunter, whatever. And here's the thing. He knows what goes into a good movie. He knows exactly what shots go into a good movie. In one shot, he has a dune buggy come zooming up over a hill, catching air, while at the same time a helicopter comes flying over the top of it. It's a good shot. In concept, and it sort of works in the movie. So it's not like he doesn't know what makes up a movie. And the scenes, I was never confused as to what was going on. So he got all the coverage he needed. He edited them all together so that the movie was comprehensible. And this is a hard thing to do. This is really, really difficult. And so many bad movies I've seen do not pull this off. So many bad movies I've seen are really confusing. And even many like high budget Hollywood movies with stars in them don't pull this off. They get confusing for points and you're lost for a while. And sometimes that's deliberate with like David Lynch films, but sometimes it's just because the director loses control of the edit and they don't know what they're going to do with the edit. And they just don't have the coverage they need. So on a technical level, he knows what shots he needs for the movie. He has the script that has good ideas in it. He gets the shot to put the script on the screen. The problem is, as a director or as a cinematographer, he just doesn't quite have enough talent to make it all hit properly. It's just not quite good enough to elevate it into material that could have been, a mass market success. He just doesn't have enough talent to sort of elevate it up to that level. And his movies aren't cheesy enough. They're not goofy enough to get that trauma crowd. Like with Toxic Avenger and Class of Nukem High and Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. They don't have enough like bizarre. They're not bizarre enough to get that cult classic crowd really buying into them. But they just fall short of like mainstream success because he's almost there, but not quite as far as being a director goes. And it's not a matter of experience. It's not a matter of lacking knowledge or lacking the will, lacking the desire, lacking hard work. It's obvious he works really hard at these movies. You don't get as close as he does. You don't get coverage in the shots like he does. You don't get coherent fights like he does without working really hard on a day-to-day basis, just shooting the movie, getting actors to show up, having them hit their lines. You don't get all that without a lot of hard work by him, his crew, the actors. And it's kind of tragic he doesn't have just that extra bit of talent to really elevate his movies into mainstream success. Because they're almost good movies, but just not quite. But still, I find myself loving him because, damn it, he is pouring his heart out. He's pouring his soul out, or he's pouring it into the work. And there's something there that is endearing and enjoyable about the movies because even though they're not quite mainstream good, they're still good on the level they hit. They're still good and worth watching if you're okay with the level of quality they hit. So I'm not suggesting to people that they are, super awesome and you should go and watch them. I'm saying that there is a lower level of quality with them that is absolutely, they're USA up all night movies. Okay, for
Oh,
those of
I
you that,
remember that. Wow.
yeah, for those
You're
of you that
dating yourself, but yeah.
for those of you that remember that, they're movies that Gilbert Gottfried would introduce. But for that, if you can hang with that, if you're okay with watching those kinds of movies, and you're okay with that level of nudity, they're fun. They're fun to watch. Because they have solid plots. At least the three I watch, they have solid plots with good, always at least one or two fun and unusual ideas buried in the plots that you could say that's something unique and original I haven't seen done uh, in another movie. And sometimes it's funny. In one of the movies, they have this snake that was injected with some kind of I don't even remember anymore, some kind of treatments or something to where if it bites anyone, they're just gonna die. But the snake itself is gonna die within like 48 hours or something. So it mistakenly it gets loose and it goes around biting several people and then unexpectedly comes back later in the movie to close out a certain plot point. And it's great. It's a little cheesy, but it's great. Um, and so it's in one movie, he has like four Playboy playmates as actresses, which is just hilarious. I just, I can't believe that. Um,
It was the 70s and the 80s, right?
yep.
Hello, ladies. Do you like money and blow? Would you like to be in a movie?
One of his main characters, the male character, is this Texan guy, this good-looking, really handsome Texan guy who lives on a houseboat. His dad loans him because his dad's super rich, and he also does like secret agent work on the side, and so uh, he keeps on having all of these absurdly hot women show up because he's really actually good looking and he's not poor. He's wealthy. But he keeps on having to stop. I'm sorry, he's not a secret agent, he's a private investigator. But just when things get going with these hot women who show up on his boat, he has to stop because he has to go and work on this case, this murder case. And people are constantly trying to kill him on this murder case. And there's some things going on with this tech business and investment in this completely rich family. And there's some interesting things going on. It's an interesting case. You know, you could see Columbo working on this case or another the Rockford Files. You could see this as a Rockford Files case. And it's just a fun movie. It's just enjoyable. So yeah, I didn't hate these movies. They were, you know, they were almost great movies, or almost, almost good movies that could have done really well in the theaters, but didn't quite hit that. I don't know how. I don't know how they. I'm assuming they came out, maybe had a theatrical run, uh, and then got out on VHS when VHS came out, and then maybe some of his later movies were straight to VHS. But he has a reputation, and he has a following. So yeah, I just found myself kind of loving the movies and kind of loving the guy because they're so honest about what they're doing, and what they're trying to do is just entertain the audience.
I mean, what more do you want?
So I give him a recommendation on that level.
Hey, what's up, chat? Simon Hogwood, good morning. Bradford Walker says cheesy schlock in that programming block. I think he's talking USA Up All Night.
Yes, it was. If you're looking for those kinds of movies, Tubi, Tubi, is a website, and also it's an app on like the Apple TV and on Roku, and on Xbox, I think. It's free. You just sign in. It's used to be nothing, and now it's like commercial supported. But they have a lot of those cheesy schlock movies. That's where I got my Andy Sedaris fix, was on Tubi.
Cool.
I'm not getting paid for this. It's not a paid endorsement.
It's not a promotion, folks. This stream is not supported by any ad revenue.
Supported by any revenue.
It is supported by zero revenue.
But yeah, those schlocky movies, I mean, they can be found other places too, but you can really find them on Tubi if you want to go look. So if you're interested in watching Andy Sedaris movie, the only place I can find them to stream right now is on Tubi, and they've got several of them. They've got like 10 of them right now. So if you want to find Do or Die, and the other two I watched, Malibu Express and Hard Ticket to Hawaii, all three of those are on Tubi, and there are several others there. Savage Beach, Return to Savage Beach, Hard Hunted, Fit to Kill, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, so they're available on streaming. However, the other movie I watched today is not available on streaming. It is only available in the theaters, which once again necessitated a trip far away into town.
Leaving the house on the day like today?
Yes. And summer is fading up here. I don't know how it's doing in the rest of the country, but I've been waking up cold all week, and for the first couple of days, I'm like, why is it so darn cold? And I was hoping for it to get warm again, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it's the end of August. Summer is gone. It's going away. I don't know if it's officially the start of anything, but around here, when it starts to get cold, that's when I consider summer to be gone. And August is when it starts to get chilly. So my room being chilly in the morning is when I consider summer gone. And a few years ago, a movie called Nobody came out, and it stars Bill Odenkirk, and he played just this regular sort of guy, and who had a regular sort of job and just did regular sort of things until finally one day some thugs were acting up on the bus, and he kind of snapped. His life was mediocre. He wasn't happy. His wife wasn't happy. His kids weren't happy. He was clearly miserable, sick of his job. His wife just, there wasn't any spark in their marriage, and he just got fed up on the bus. And he had this absolutely spectacular fight on the bus. And he got the crap kicked out of him, but at the same time, on a 4-to-1 fight, he pummeled the other guys into bloody bags and severely injured them. Well, it turns out these 4 jerks on the bus were part of the Russian mafia. And it also turned out that Odenkirk's character wasn't a nobody. That at one point in his life, he had worked for the government in some capacity as a problem solver, where he would go into a place and find a problem and take care of it with violence. And the Russian mafia got upset because he had pummeled their guys, and he had unfortunately left his driver's license on the bus, and they had retrieved it. And so the rest of the movie is him trying to keep them away from his family, and then his family finding out about what he used to do and getting in a lot of danger, and then him eventually trying to get them out of danger. And him calling in a friend, and him calling in his dad, who it turns out was in the same line of work. And there's a big explosive fight at the end. Absolutely a great movie, which I am ashamed that my fellow host himself has not yet watched.
Womp womp.
Which you really should. Nobody is a great movie. It's a great action movie. So Nobody 2, he has gone out of necessity. He has gone back to work for the government to pay off a massive debt that he incurred while tearing through the Russians. And every time he completes an assignment for the government takes care of part of his debt, takes part of his debt off the books. And finally he says, I need to go. I need to take a break. I need to go on vacation with my family. And he goes to a little town where his dad had taken him on vacation when he was a child. And it was the only vacation his dad had taken him on when he was a child. And because various things had happened, he finds himself in the middle of a pickle. And instead of everything being good and happy and vacation-y, things get violent and work-like for him. And people are confronting him, and he's having to break his promise to his wife that this will be just a vacation and go and turn to his professional skill set once again. I had a lot of fun watching the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't quite as good as the first movie, but it was still a lot of fun. They really tried to use the environment of the climactic scene of where it's located, and some of those environmental kills, I think they didn't quite pull off, but it was still enjoyable. The fights were great. They were well choreographed. They were exciting. They're fast paced. And despite that, they used the camera to good use in the fights to add momentum, but they didn't make it crazy shaky cam to where you couldn't tell what was going on. Like, they would move the camera with the character moving, so it was if you were moving with the point of view character, so you could see from his point of view, but the camera wasn't shaking all the time pointlessly to try and provide excitement, but all it was doing was providing confusion. Now, there may have been some shaky cam through it. If I saw it again, maybe I would catch some. But on the whole, I remember the shots being fairly grounded. They set up the camera, or if the camera was on a steady cam, and just let you see people moving so you knew what the heck was going on. It was not a confusing mess of a movie. And maybe that's something that's been changing gradually over the last 4 years or so, or 3 years or so. I'm not sure. So I think it's been a long time since I've complained about shaky cam, hasn't it?
It's been around a long time. I think the first time people noticed it was Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity, and that was what, 2004 or something?
Yeah. But what, can you remember the last time I had to complain about it in an action movie?
No. It's happened in the past couple of years, but it's not as commonplace as it was.
Because the John Wick films,
I was just about to bring up John
cam.
Wick's. Yeah, I was just about to bring up John Wick. John Wick, I think, cured
They got
everybody
like
of that.
entirely away from that. They used very deliberate movements to where when the camera was moving, it was to accentuate things going on in, in the field of the camera. So like when a character was flipped over onto the floor, the camera might flip and follow him and end the shot, upside down with the character, but it's not shaking all over the place. It's doing moves like that with different characters in the scene, or it might pan as a character gets, or not pan, it might dolly with the character as he slammed into the side of an elevator. They're doing things like that now. But the shaky cam thing, and maybe it's because of John Wick. Maybe people saw the success of John Wick and just decided, hey, we need to start doing that instead of shaky cam. But that's definitely the style that this movie goes for. Is it's got some stylistic movements in some spots, but not so much that it drowns out the whole movie. It's just, seasoning added in one or two spots. The rest of the time, it's pretty straight and deliberate. You get the feel that they're in control of the camera and moving it from shot to shot in a way to direct the audience at the action so you can see the action, rather than just this chaotic mess that conceals things. So I like all of that. That's all. That's all really good. That's all. It makes it feel like it's worthwhile to. It makes it feel like it's worthwhile to watch what the to watch the action, because then you know what's going on and you can track what's going on. RZA, who was in the first one, who's his quote unquote brother.
The RZA?
He's an adopted brother. We grew up with, obviously.
I should say so.
RZA being African American, for those of you that don't know, he was part of the Wu-Tang Clan. He comes back in this one. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say about it, about the movie, because it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's got a lot of fisticuffs. It's got gunfights. His character takes it on the chin a lot, but can take it on the chin and come back and win the fight. And
sounds good.
I'd recommend it. I'd give it a B+, A-, straddling that line.
I mean, it takes a lot to make it doesn't take a lot to make a cheesy action film just to put on in the background of popcorn, but it does take a lot to make something worth your time to go to the theater to see. Is it a big screen material, DW, or do you think it's a... Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, chat, if you can't hear me either, you should let me know right now. Because I'm just hanging out. Hanging out. in chat. Hey, welcome back. I was just hanging out with chat for a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's a cool technical difficulty where you and only you suddenly stop hearing me. I was having a good chuckle at your comment on RZA or the RZA. But right on time. Good show, DW. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Well, awesome. Well, on your recommendation, I may go see some cheesy action flicks in the near future. I hope everybody who hung out with us in the chat enjoyed the show, and I hope everybody who listens later maybe hop on Tubi and check out some schlocky Andy Sedaris stuff. In the meantime, I'm done for the week.
I wouldn't even call Andy Sedaris movie schlock. I think they're elevated above schlock. I just think they're movies that don't quite hit. I think the plots are good enough that they're not schlock, because schlock usually has really crappy plots. Or at least mediocre or eye-rolling plots. They're just not quite high quality enough.
Gotcha.
I realize that's a bold stance to take, but yeah, not quite high quality enough. All right. Is it my turn?
Go for it.
All right. I want to thank everyone who tuned in live. I want to thank everyone who will tune in later. This has been Geek Gab for Monday, August 25th. Excuse me. Let me stretch my eyes. Monday, August 25th. Squinting at the little tiny date. 2025. What a year! It's a quarter of a century into the new
Century.
Can you believe it?
Time flies when you're hanging out on the Geek Gab.
I'm old. This is episode 399, right?
That's right. 400 coming up.
Wow. Episode 400 coming up next week, probably.
It's a lot of episodes.
So, you can catch us just about every week, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. YouTube.com/GeekGab. Once again, that's YouTube.com/GeekGab. Or you can catch us on the iTunes Store, the Google Play Store, or SoundCloud.com. Just do a search for Geek Gab. Subscribe to us on the device of your choice. Listen to us on the web. Download us to your computer. All available because we support you in your degenerate Geek Gab habit. Folks, we are signing out for today, but don't you worry, don't you fret. We will be back.